This is the third video segment on the concept of modeling a weld in Catia when doing finite elements. Now, the first one dealt with an assembly, which was modeled with shell elements, and I showed you how to do spot welding, seam welding, and surface welding. The second video clip was not quite the concept of welding, but a feature that's available in Catia called node-to-node, I believe, connection property. Okay. So what I would like to do in the third one is go through the business of spot welding, seam welding, and surface welding. When this happens within a single part, it is not an assembly where you have to spot weld these two or seam weld these two. It's a single part that you would like to do that. For example, here we have a shell model of a surface like that. The left end is clamped. I've made these top faces transparent so that you can see what's happening underneath it. And then there is a load of 100 pounds applied on that edge. Now, what I would like to do is do a seam welding between the top and the bottom plates. These two plates, these are all within the same part. Spot welding, and then the seam welding, and then the surface welding, just like before. Okay, so if you go here, you may recall that first thing that you need to do when it comes to these weld modeling is to create the connections. Now, when you look at the connections, this is for the point analysis, spot welding. This is for line analysis, seam welding, and surface analysis, which is for surface welding. However, each one of these sub-toolbars has two parts to it, two icons. The left one is when you're dealing with an assembly. The right one is when you're dealing with a part. Okay, so these ones that are enclosed in the red ellipse, they're all the ones that are used for a single part, and that's what you're doing. Actually, if you look at the drawing here, the icon, this shows you like two plates. Pretend that these are two parts, whereas here it shows you a single thing. There's no distinction between the top and the bottom, so all within the same part. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this geometry within a single part. Okay, let's start with a part file. All right, so we are in wireframe and surface design, or actually generative shape design, which is good because we're dealing with surfaces here. So on that plane, I will sketch. I'll sketch a circle of radius 40 millimeters. So diameter 80, radius 40. Okay. And then I'm going to draw a nice rectangle in the middle. Okay, clean it up. We will dimension this thing in a minute, but let me use the quick trim to clean this up. So I want to get rid of this, and I want to get rid of that, and this, and that, and that. Okay, so now we can dimension these things. This one is 40 millimeters. And this one is 40 millimeters. And the distance between here and here is 4 millimeters. This is the gap between the top and the bottom plate. For some reason, these are not lined up, so let me make this thing, well, why don't I make this thing also 40 millimeters easiest? The easiest way is there, 40. Okay, so here is the situation that you got right there. Okay, now let's exit and extrude it by I think also 40 millimeters. Sure, why not? 40 millimeters. Okay, let's apply material to this thing. We're going to apply metal, steel on that part. And let's save it. File, save management, save as. Let me take you to the folder. And this is a single part. So I'm going to make a folder here. So you see single part. Okay. Now, let me remind you that when you're dealing spot welding, seam welding, and the other one, surface welding, in the assembly, I had to go to one of the parts and create a geometric set and put in it the points that I wanted for spot welding or the line that I wanted for spot welding, etc. So it is the same story here. So I'm going to go and create a geometric set. This first one, I'm going to say my points. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to do another one, my lines. That's for seam welding. My lines. And another one, my surface. My surface. Now, if you don't have any seam welding or surface welding, well, don't worry about these things. But since I'm going to do all within the same tutorial, I might as well do that. Okay, so let's do the point right here. Right click, define in-work object. Right. So now I'm going to create my points. Now the points, I can input it as coordinates or pick it on the surface. So let me see now. This is going to be, say, y of, well, let me start with x of, say, 10. Okay, y of 40 and 40, 80. Let's see what happens here. 70 and a height of 2. That will land you on this top face to show that we preview. Did it? Yeah, it's right here, right there. Okay, that's good. So let's do another one. Let's make another one which is x of maybe 20. It's right there. Oh, I forgot to do the first one. Okay, so how many points do I have? Right. Okay, so let's do another one. This was x of 10. So I have one here, one there, and let's do one more point, and we make this thing 30. 30. Okay, so actually let me hide this to show you what happened. These 3 points are created. Okay, very good. Let's get this thing back. Alright. If I want to do spot welding of those 3 points, that's all I need. But since I want to anticipate doing seam welding also, so I'm going to create maybe a line here or 2 lines there. So let me move on to my lines. Select define in-work object. So whatever I do is going to go into that workbench. Now, when it comes to the line, so let me go create a point and then a direction. So a point, and the point is, this is fine. Oh, wait. I wanted this thing not to be sitting on top of the other one. So for perhaps for Y, I will make it 60. Where is this? The point is here. That's too far. Make it 65. Okay, so it's right there. Okay, maybe even a little bit further to the right. Maybe 67. Okay, very good. Now we're going to draw a line, point and direction. The point is right here. and the direction is direction X. Flip it, and how about making it, oh, I don't know, maybe 30 millimeters? Well, 30 might take you all the way to the edge, but let's see what happens. Yeah, that's too far. That's too far. We don't want to go all the way to the edge. So let's make it 25. How about that? Okay, very good. And I want to do another line here because I want to do seam welding along 2 lines. It doesn't have to be, but I don't want you to get the impression that they all have to be always 2 lines, because you can see here, for example, I have 2 lines. This is what I'm going to do. All right, good. So let me do another point. Let me see. In the Y direction, make it maybe 72. It's right there. And then draw a line. Point and direction. There is my point. And the direction is X. Flip it. And same length. Okay, good. And finally, I want to do my surface. Now, in order to do my surface, first of all, let's get in there. And now on that face, I will sketch. Well, whatever that surface is going to look like. For example, I don't know, I can make it a rectangle, something like that. Surface welding, maybe something like this. Oops. Let me see, can I move this thing? Yeah. So this is the bottom and top surface. Now exit. Because we're dealing with surface welding, we have to put a surface through that so that we can fill it. Right now we can fill it, and it's going to put a surface through this. That's the fill. Okay, so save everything. Where's the disk? Right there. We're going to save everything. Now we're going to go to generative structure analysis. We don't want a fancy mesh, so we use a triangular mesh. Triangular mesh, shell mesh, right there. So let's do the surface. Too big, so make it maybe 2 millimeters. You want to see how it looks like. Okay. So there is the shell mesh. This is an overkill, but that's okay. We just leave it the way it is. All right. So deactivate the mesh. Now we create our connections. Remember, creating connection analysis support. For example, when you're trying to create a connection for the spot welding, we need to use the icon. We need to use the icon on the right, which says point analysis connection within a part. So you click on it and carefully read what it says. First component, well, there's only one component here. There's nothing else. In the case of assembly, it was first component and then the second component, but here there's only one. We picked it, and then we select the points, and the points is precisely what we created in that geometrical set. You can also pick it from the screen. There we are. Then we're going to do a line analysis connection within a single part right there. Once again, single part, so just first component. For lines, you go and select the lines. You have to do it twice because there's 2 lines to be seam welded. This is one, and another one. What is this? It's the one. Yep. There's the component, and the second line is here. Very good. Here is the first one was the point analysis connection, then it was the first line, then it was the second line, and now we're going to do one for the surface. So this is surface. Click on it. Here's the component. For the surface, we select the fill. There we are. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me cancel that. I think I picked the wrong one. There is a surface, but this is the icon that we want to take. Surface analysis connection within a part. So all it's asking you is a single first component, and then the surface is going to be that fill. Notice that with the one that I just did, it's a first component, second component. That's because accidentally I put the analysis, the assembly case. Very good. So it's all here. Now let's apply our load, and then we're going to create our properties. So this particular face, as I have it in the transparency, this is or in the slide, this is clamped, and then we're going to push this. We're going to push one of these edges down by 50 pounds, so or 100 pounds. I don't know. So let's try it again. Zoom in. Load on that edge downward, right there, and we say OK. All right, we are almost done. So because we want to do spot welding first, so let us go and find the spot welding icon right here. Connection properties. This is the welding toolbar. The first one is spot welding. You select it, and you go and select the one that has points in it. Okay, and again, you have different options. We're going to use rigid, which is the simplest one. You have to fool around with the other options. So let me run it. Oh yeah, you know what? We forgot to specify the thickness of the shell. Completely forgot. So it says that 2D property is missing. You click on it, and this is 4 millimeter, and we say OK. Now we're going to run it. And it's done. So here's the deflection. Let's zoom in. Let me get rid of the tree. There we are. Some of these are blocking our view. Any of these connections that we don't like, we can hide. I don't want this surface one, I'll not use it. I don't want the seam one, I can use it. And this one I can hide. Any of these connections that we created we don't like, we can hide. Right there. These are the spot welds. It doesn't matter, we can hide it also. All right, now deflection. Average ISO. Material shading. Nothing fancy. I mean, obviously this is going to go down. They're going to go down together. You can see that because these are spot welded. And you can look at the 1 meter stress. Now, if you don't see the spot welding stresses here, okay, because this is a flimsy structure, most of the stress is going to be at this point. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create, let me deactivate this plot for you. Deactivate. Let's create a surface group on that top surface. Surface group, just the top surface. And now activate the 1 meter stress. And just show me the stuff for that surface group. There. So this is because of the 3 points that were spot welded together. Okay. Let's get back here. Send everything up. Deactivate the plot. Because now we want to do seam welding. Okay. So we go to properties. We go to properties. Delete the one which says spot welding. And now we click on the seam welding property right there. And obviously you're going to have to select, you're going to have to go to the tree, select the first line, and again the second line. You have to do these separately. In fact, the icon for it, you can see something like that. All right, good. Again, I'm using the most rudimentary one, which is rigid weld. So let's run it. Nothing fancy, except that those pieces are welded at that interface. I mean, there's not much difference between this and the spot welding, but obviously the stresses they will be different, of course. And if you want to see the surface group again, to zoom in, it's like that. Remember, there were 3 dots here, kind of dottish, because that was 3 spot welds, but this is a seam weld. All right, let's do the last one, which is, let's see now, we're going to go to properties, delete the seam welding. This time you go and select the surface weld, which is right here, and select it from your tree right there. This is the surface, but you can't close it. That's because when you do surface welding, you expect you to define the properties. If it's the same thing, then that's okay, but you have to go, you see that user defined, you have to go and select, create and select it. That's all right. So we go to the ball here, material, user material. If it's the same material for welding purposes, and it should be, so we're going to use the steel and say okay. Notice that in my material branch, we have this one that was steel, and this is the one that was just created, but of course it happens to be steel also. So now we're going to do our surface welding. Select the surface, click on the wrench, user material, which is this, and we say okay. All right, close it and run it. Okay, nothing fancy. It's just that the entire patch is somehow welded to the other one. Now that seam welding and spot welding are relatively easy to do from manufacturing point of view, but I mean, obviously the surface welding, it's more involved. Okay, there we are, and double click on it. Select the surface group. Remember, the welding was down here. This is displacement. Actually, there's not much you can see here. I want to see the stress, and this is where the spot, the surface welding was done, right here in this area that had the rectangle set. So that's pretty much it. I don't think you can use this other guy. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think you can use this other guy for that purpose. Remember, this one was node to node. So let's actually try, see whether we can do it or not. I have serious doubts. So let me deactivate this. And these connections that we created, actually, I really don't need it. Let me delete these connections. First of all, delete the surface welding property, and then you can go to these things and delete them. You don't need it. This, control that, control this, delete them. Okay, so as I said, I don't see anything here with a single part, but well, let's see if we can actually create a connection. See that? You see right here, first component and then second component, but it's not going to work because I don't have a second component. But see, it's not going to work. So forget about this guy. The third video segment, second video segment, where we use assemblies and also use this fellow. That does not work. What I'm going to do in the next couple of segments is going to be repeating